Hello and welcome to our workshop, From Darkness to Domo Delight, how to continuously evolve your data agility strategy. My name is Matt Pepsel and I'm joined today by Ethan Bain. We're from the Predictive Index, a provider of the world's leading talent optimization platform. The Predictive Index has more than 8,000 clients all over the world, and our business is a software as a service business. This means that recurring revenues are really important to our business as we work to expand our client base and help deliver new client relationships as well. I'm the Vice President of Partner Growth. That means my job is to help our partners all over the world to create new client relationships and to provide excellent service to those clients. I'm also known as the godfather of talent optimization, the architect of this new discipline that connects talent strategy with business strategy to produce optimal business results. Now, Ethan, why don't you go ahead and introduce us to yourself?
I'm the Director of Business Intelligence here at PI, and I lead a team that's responsible for delivering insights across our business. We report on data from all of our source systems and organize it into clear insights that help drive business decisions from our executive team down to every level of the organization. Our goal as a department is to help everyone at the company do their job more effectively.
Over the course of this workshop, we're going to talk about our transition from darkness, a time when we had no insights into data, to Domo Delight, when we have access to robust dashboards and great insights about our business. Along the way, I'll be sharing the business context for our evolution, and Ethan's going to share the technical aspects of the teams and the technologies that we use to make this transition possible. Now, our journey from darkness to Domo Delight was not a straightforward one. It wasn't a straight line. What we experienced were a series of joys and frustrations as we continuously would evolve and develop new capabilities, but then we were faced with new obstacles at every step of the way. Our hope is that through this workshop, we can help you understand the experiences that we went through to save you some time and some challenges, some frustrations along your own journey. Let's begin with phase one, darkness. When we first began our journey, we faced a number of challenges to the business. The first was indecision. Without proper data, we had a very difficult time making choices about investment opportunities or prioritizing problems. Additionally, we faced frustration. When you don't have the data and you have subjective arguments with one another as an executive team, that can be a significant challenge. Another challenge that we faced during this phase was guesswork. Without precise information, it made it difficult for us to know exactly what to do in the moment. We also experienced misalignment. When there were differences of opinion about the right course of action, all based on subjective responses to what we thought was happening in the marketplace instead of having data that would prove it. It was also really hard for us to set quantifiable goals. We pride ourselves on being precise and measurement oriented, but without the data, it was difficult to have any sort of a quantifiable approach to what success really looked like. For that reason, it was also hard to measure progress. When we set a goal, it was difficult to know, were we on track, were we falling behind? And finally, relatively few pioneers. That's the term we use for our internal employees across all of the business, all of the different departments. Relatively few of the pioneers had access to the data they needed to effectively perform their day-to-day jobs. Let's turn our attention to phase two, building a Domo Foundation. This is where cross-department visibility began our journey in moving away from darkness and starting to have data in hand. For that, I'm going to turn things over to Ethan.
Thanks, Matt. The first step to building our Domo Foundation was the implementation of our first Domo instance. When we implemented Domo, for the first time, we had true cross-platform reporting functionality. We were able to take data from our CRM, our software, our marketing automation tool, and other sources, and collate those together to create rich insights for the business. At this point, we were prioritizing the most critical metrics and analysis and conducting those first. We had limited resources, so a lot of the reporting and analysis was done on an ad hoc basis by just a couple people in the organization. We had data everywhere. We were starting to build data flows and have the beginnings of our metadata sets, but there wasn't a ton of organization just yet. And we hadn't even really thought of governance at this point. And what we thought about was how can we get insights stood up quickly that can get an ROI for our business? The next step for us was bringing expertise in-house to complement Domo as a tool. As we know, it's a solid software tool, but it's powered by expertise. So we were able to bring two talented analysts into our organization to power Domo and get the insights our executive team was looking for. Christina and Lion were the first two hires that were doing true BI work at the Predictive Index. As I mentioned, we were starting to prioritize our most critical metrics first. And as Matt mentioned before, we're a SaaS business, so retention is one of our core metrics and a true indicator of business performance and the valuation of our company. So we started here. We were able to get a good handle on what our logo retention was on an annual basis through Domo. And from there, we were able to dive a little bit deeper and look at retention by cohorts. This card shows our churn rates by client headcount, which was a way that we were bucketing cohorts of clients at the time. So we were able to see trends and then also look into why are our clients leaving us? Is it because they're not finding value in our product? Is it budget related? All of this was driven by Domo and upstream. We were able to, as a team, say, these are the questions we want to answer as a business. How are we going to report on them in Domo? And then from there, how do we implement data collection mechanisms in our source systems to make sure that we're pulling this data in that we're going to want to report on later on? Once we got our arms around retention as a business, we started thinking about leading indicators of retention and how we could start driving an improvement in that metric over time. That led us to create our very own homegrown client health metric, which was dollars per hero point. Dollars per hero point was a way for us to assign value after we analyzed which product features impacted retention the most. We knew that certain features had a greater impact on someone's engagement and eventually their retention than others. So we assigned certain value tiers to different features within our software. And once we did that, we were able to build out a data flow and then cards within Domo to track which clients were falling into which client health buckets. With dollars per hero point, lower is better. So you can see in this tree map on the left, we want to drive people to this less than $10 per hero point bucket. That means they're getting a relatively large amount of value from our software for what they're paying us. So what we were able to do once we stood this up was go a level deeper. We used quick filters to be able to look at customers by cohort, by channel, and by target market versus non-target market to see how our client base was performing. And we knew we were able to predict retention based on these values. From there, our next step was to make this actionable. So what we did was we implemented drill paths to allow customer success managers and partners to be able to look in and see where each account was in terms of client health. Under the account name column, we were able to link the account name to the account page in our CRM. So a CSM could literally just click on the account name, get brought to the CRM from Domo, and see everything they needed to do for that account. They were able to log calls there. They're able to see other information about client activity, and it just made this really actionable. We actually got to a point where CSMs were gold based on driving client health, and they were able to mine that data from Domo and use it in the field to increase retention within our direct team. Another highlight for us during our foundation phase was the visibility we were able to provide into company financial data. At the time, we were using an accounting system that had limited reporting capabilities, and the visualizations within Domo allowed us to report on the overall health of our business at all company meetings and just provide more clarity across the organization. Our CFO would actually spend a 5-minute portion of our all company meetings going through our financials, and he would use these visualizations to help illustrate where we were in relation to our goals and how we were trending up our hill to climb. It also gave our board unprecedented visibility into our financials. As I mentioned, we had this data before, but we didn't have a great way to visualize it. So bringing these visualizations to board meetings was a nice way to tell our story through Domo. We were also able to deepen the understanding of the growth trajectory of our business across the company. Employees started to think, how is what I'm doing on a daily basis driving these numbers? And that started to get people to think more effectively about how they were spending their time, how they were spending their money, and the types of questions that they asked became more strategic. Another added bonus for us is in 2019, we went out to raise a round of funding. And being able to produce these types of visualizations to show we had this sort of command over our financials and KPIs was a real value add as we went out and started to talk to different investors.
From the business leader's perspective, by establishing a business intelligence foundation through Domo, this represented a significant impact to our ability to drive the business. We experienced some of our first wins. Ethan has told us about the financial visibility that we gained access to, being able to understand various customer segments, the profitability, the way that we could drive and make sure they were getting the value that they were paying for. Additionally, we got customer support visibility. What was the nature of the case backlogs? How quickly were we responding to customer inquiries? This was another great opportunity for us to provide higher levels of service. We were also able to proactively set goals now, rather than before where it was impossible to define quantifiable goals because we couldn't see the data anyway. Now we can be proactive about that. Thinking about next quarter, where did we see the metric before? How high can we drive it? That became possible with the type of foundation that we're talking about. And finally, showing visible progress against those goals, showing them at the team level, at the individual level, gave all of our pioneers, those employees, critical feeling of progress, understanding where we were on track and where we needed to perhaps take some new actions in order to drive the metrics even higher. Despite all of those wins, we realized there was still work to be done. That foundation was just the beginning for us, and we still wanted to drive our success and our use of the Domo tools and the data, the business intelligence capabilities even higher. One of the biggest challenges that we faced immediately was we had a limited number of data sets that we were pumping into Domo and therefore could report on, act on, and calculate. We wanted to provide more insight into all parts of the business, customer survey results, net promoter scores, lots of new information that would help us make more informed business decisions. At the same time, we also had centralized data expertise. We didn't see the same amount of capabilities to use Domo and other business intelligence techniques inside of the business units themselves. Everything had to be brought to that centralized group that Ethan shared with us a little bit earlier. As a result, we started to develop these new capabilities around data visualizations and data calculations, but that led to us having more questions than answers. That was not necessarily a comfortable position when there was so much of our business that we wanted to get our arms around and really make sure we were making the most informed decisions possible. Most profoundly, from a business perspective, we weren't yet a data-driven culture. It wasn't yet into our DNA, if you will, to bring data to have quantifiable results that defended any investment decisions we were making and really the understanding that we had for our business. All of this led us to invest in the next phase, phase 3, what we call Domo Everywhere. Now the organization focused significantly on getting adoption of the Domo toolset, making sure we had a deep understanding of our business, massive amounts of collaboration. How are we making sure that sales and marketing and operations and product were all looking at the same unified information and therefore making collective informed decisions as best we could. What we didn't realize at the time is that was going to lead us to the very limits of our first Domo instance.
What really earmarked the start of this new phase for us was what we called the dawn of a new Domo. When we implemented our first Domo instance, we weren't thinking about scalability. Very little thought was given to what our Domo instance would look like in 36 months. We were just excited to have these new data capabilities at the time. And the result was a little bit of a mess. At the time, we hadn't structured things in a way that would allow for self-service reporting. We hadn't thought a whole lot about governance, and we reached this sort of tipping point where we had to make a decision about how we were going to fix Domo so that in 24 months, it was still a really valuable asset for our company. What we decided to do was rip the Band-Aid off and start over. We implemented a brand new Domo instance with the support of our CSM and account executive at the time. In this new instance, we implemented simple governance that aligned with our business strategy. We thought about what people would need to know, what we would want to restrict, which in the end didn't end up being much, and we implemented a governance strategy that allowed people to see insights across the business. From here, we were able to have true self-service reporting for the first time within Domo. People could go in and feel confident that the data they were looking at was certified and from data sets that were powered and created by our business intelligence team. This, in turn, accelerated adoption, which was really critical for us as a team in making sure that we were establishing that data-driven culture that Matt mentioned before. As we were standing up our new Domo instance, we also saw that we needed to scale our team to meet our goals. So we added 4 people to our business intelligence headcount throughout the course of 2019 and into 2020. This allowed us to support our organization with the insights that we needed to make strong decisions and reach our goals from a data perspective. Each of the folks on this slide support a specific department or departments within our organization. That allows us to embed a resource where they can truly understand what that department is trying to accomplish, some of their strengths, blind spots, things of that nature, and provide world-class service. As you'll see here, our PI reference profiles are displayed here. We're also very thoughtful about the behavioral characteristics that we brought onto our team to complement each other well and create a world-class BI team. Moving into 2020, we also had a major catalyst for collaboration across our organization. Pre-2020, the way our business brought our product to market was through a traditional sales funnel. We thought of marketing, sales, and channel enablement, and then ops, finance, and so on and so forth down the funnel. What we did moving into 2020 was shift to more of a product-led growth strategy, which is a really interesting strategy that many companies are pursuing in SaaS. And what that does is it tips your sales funnel on its side. And from a data perspective, this was very exciting for us because all of a sudden people in product cared a lot more about marketing data and vice versa. All of these departments' success is somewhat dependent on each other. So they became very interested in each other's data, and it all became interwoven for us. And we were able to provide the right insights at the right time to help power this sort of transition to product-led growth. One of our major projects in 2020 to support product-led growth was in the realm of product launch analytics. We conducted the largest product release in company history in 2020, something called Dream Teams. And as a result of that, there was a true hunger for results and insights. We spent a lot of money on this. It was a primary focus for our organization, and almost everyone in the company wanted to learn more about it. We also needed to test and iterate quickly to make sure this launch was a success. And what that did was it put Domo front and center as the hub for learning on this product release. So our BI team pointed the majority of our resources at this product release in Q3 last year. We were able to stand up a dashboard that showed us true visibility throughout the entire funnel of the Stream Teams product release. Everything from new clients we brought on board to the top of the funnel in marketing, all the way on down through to the middle of the funnel and how prospects were moving through into close won deals, and then how they were interacting with our product and expanding through services. This was something that we stood up over the course of a month or two, and it was kind of a major milestone for us as a team, both in terms of how we were able to support things interpersonally, but also in terms of the value and mileage we were getting out of Domo. As a BI team, we stood up a comprehensive dashboard to show visibility into the entire funnel for Dream Teams. Everything from marketing at the top of the funnel to performance in the field in the middle of the funnel. And then post-sale, we were able to get great insights into what was happening inside our software, as well as how our clients were interacting with our services business, which is an avenue for expansion. We pointed a lot of resources at this release and took advantage of a lot of the capabilities within Domo, including alerting, and different beast mode calculations on every single card to make sure that we had the visibility we were looking for across the organization. Perhaps the most important story that we needed to tell throughout this product release is how our product performance was tied to our business performance. And this card gives a good indication of that. We were able to show week over week trending into how many clients we were landing with this new product release. The data flow ran hourly because people wanted really fast insights here. Every time we brought a new client on board, people wanted to know who they were, why they purchased, and what their experience was like so we could improve that for the next prospect and the next client. Another thing that we were able to do to make this more powerful was slice the data using a beast mode to show which of our clients were, or which of these clients were net new clients for us versus existing business that expanded their software. That's a really critical metric in our world. So being able to stand up a beast mode really quickly to show that sort of visualization was really powerful for us in helping our business understand who was being impacted and where we should spend more money.
With this next phase of investments well underway, we felt that we were becoming best in class. From a product perspective, these adoption metrics were critical for us. When you're introducing a new product to more than 8,000 clients, you really need to understand how well it's being absorbed and how well its value is being understood by those clients who've known us for a long, long time. At the same time, when Ethan had mentioned having real-time insights, hourly views of data, trying to be able to understand what's happening, that first few moments and hours after a product launch are critical. And as we started to turn on more and more audiences from within our installed base of customers, making sure they were having a great experience, they were clear about the value of the new product capabilities was essential. We provided these abstract views to the business to people who needed only a general sense of how things were going. But when you started to talk about individual account managers or individual product professionals, how do we provide the drill downs to give really detailed views into what was happening, abandonment rates, uptake, click-throughs, whatever it might be. That combination of the abstract for people who needed only the high level and the drill downs for those who could take action on very specific aspects of the product experience was critical for us. Additionally, another capability that was important was trending over time. It was very important for us to be able to practice a technique known as growth hacking. We start to find out what percentage of a given part of the experience was having a conversion, for example, and what tiny changes could we make that might tweak and boost that number higher and higher. Watching the trends improve as we added more user help, or as we started to add unique interventions at different steps along the journey, other types of data and information all of a sudden helped us see the trend improving positively over time. All departments at this point were involved. The marketing, the product teams, operations teams. What are we seeing show up in the call center? Where's there confusion? This really allowed us to get aligned around that product experience that was being provided and the way that those experiences were matriculating into sales conversations and business results. Now, around the same time, COVID hit. And when the pandemic started to show up, it fundamentally affected our business just as it affected so many of our clients' businesses. At this point, we turned to external data sources to help us understand at a very difficult time what was going to happen in terms of the impact on the economy at large. We started to pull in information from publicly available information sources, from governmental sources, airline travel, anything we could find related to cases of the virus, and ultimately all these types of developments helped us to start to understand the impact that the pandemic was going to have on our clients' businesses and therefore our own. We continued to enjoy visibility at the board of directors level, and we extended that visibility to our partners. Again, more than 500 partners around the world who are working with clients representing the Predictive Index products and services, providing visibility to them about their clients' usage, adoption, satisfaction, certainly financials, all became possible, and all were extensions of what we consider best-in-class operations from a business intelligence perspective. Now, despite all these successes, we were still hungry for more. We knew we were capable of providing even more value on top of our business intelligence platform. One of the challenges we face now is there's just so much data. We went from darkness and having no data to now having so much data, it's easy to get lost and hard to find the exact data that you're looking for. How to make the products and the experiences from a business intelligence perspective that much more usable became a really important decision criteria for us. At the same time, our appetite for answers has far outstripped our capacity, both in human terms and in some cases, even in technology infrastructure terms. So this represented for us a next step of continuous improvement. The next phase that we're going to talk about in our final phase for today, when we look at the future, we like to refer to it as Domo Delight. For us, this is the hallmark of a new age and new aspirations when it comes to human capabilities, infrastructure, data access, convenience, and a host of other types of benefits that we expect to bring to the business.
As we strive toward Domo Delight, the primary question we're asking ourselves is what will take our insights to the next level? We have solid visibility across our organization into what's going on within the business, but we know there are certainly things we can do better. A primary focus for us moving forward will be on scalability and reliability. We learned our lesson a little bit with our first Domo instance, and we know that scalability is very critical, not only within Domo, but within our larger data strategy across the business. We also want to think about large-scale insights. How can we replicate what we did with the Dream Team's product release into future product releases and future strategic initiatives that our business has? We also want to focus on real-time analytics, or as close to real-time as we can get. We know that because we're pulling relatively large data sets and data flows into Domo, we're never going to be truly real-time. But being able to understand what's happening within our product on an hourly basis will be important for us on this product-led growth strategy. We also want to see what we can do to make more of our data self-serve. We know that we can't just multiply our headcount indefinitely. We want our BI team to be run lean and efficient. So the way we're able to scale is through providing more self-serve data, through providing more explainers. We've been able to do things like implement soapbox videos inside Domo to explain what's happening within cards and how they can be used. We're also able to use hover text to provide a little bit more context into what's happening. So little things like that are helping us to make more of our data self-serve, and it's something we're thinking about more and more these days. As we think about taking our insights to the next level, we're also thinking about how can we take our BI team to the next level. We plan on growing our headcount by at least 2 employees this year, including adding our team's first data engineer. This data engineer is going to focus on optimizing the ETL inside Domo, but also give us more of a dedicated strategy to data governance and documentation with our data before it even hits Domo. We want our influence to grow up our stack, so to speak, or upstream, so to speak, so that we have cleaner data that we're reporting on inside Domo. One initiative that we've kicked off this year that will help accelerate us on our path to Domo Delight is our partnership with RXA. For folks who don't know, RXA is a Domo certified consulting firm, and they've really been helping us with staff augmentation to enhance our existing ETL pipelines. They've also provided us with recommendations on best practices, and they've helped us with sharing a framework that they've applied to multiple clients across several industries towards scalability within Domo. And the results of that have been improved runtimes within our data sets, increased reliability, and also better Domo stats within our data sets. We're able to see the reach of every individual field that we're pulling into Domo and see how many cards would be impacted if that field were compromised. So this sort of expertise is something that has worked really well for us in terms of augmenting the team that we currently have before we bring a full-time data engineer on board. And even though we're only halfway through our engagement now, we're already seeing that investment pay off with better runtimes, fewer data set crashes, things like that. As we think about large-scale analytics, one thing that we're going to be focused on as a BI team is fueling our product strategy. This is a visualization of kind of our full development life cycle. We start in the research phase, then we develop product, we ship it, and then we try to learn everything we can to make the next cycle of product development even better. A primary focus of ours is voice of the customer. Matt mentioned before a strong desire to pull in NPS data and customer effort score and things like that into our Domo instance. We've been able to do that, and we're starting to have a more rigorous program to bring the voice of the customer to the center of everything we do from a product development perspective. Another core component of our product strategy moving forward is rapid A/B testing. Matt mentioned this as growth hacking, and this is something that we've been able to kick off in 2021 and something that we're very excited about that should help us with key learnings on our customers, but also help us build better product faster. To share a little bit more context into what A/B product testing will look like for us, I wanted to share a dashboard that we quickly spun up to support a test that was going on over the last couple of weeks within our organization. As you can see here, if you look at this page, we've divided two small customer cohorts into Group A and Group B. And as we go down this page in Domo, we can see the performance of those cohorts of clients within our software. So our goal with this test is to get quick learnings from rapid testing into the hands of our product managers. And from there, they're able to use this data to inform their product development roadmaps over time. Ultimately, what we want to do is empower those product managers and engineering teams to choose between A or B or neither, and have a more data-driven deployment of the feature of choice after the successful test.
As we looked at this last phase of Domo Delight, there are several key business drivers that are affecting that change. The first is anytime, anyplace views. We really want to see a situation where we can take the Domo insights that currently live within our instance and be able to plug them into our learning products, our proprietary software products, our operational products, whatever our partners need in order to properly support their clients. The second is large-scale data and insights. I mentioned that we have 8,000 clients today, but we see a day where we're going to have 20,000, 30,000, 40,000 clients. That's a massive amount of data flying through the system, and the types of insights that we need to be able to look at large-scale data and a large-scale client base has to be able to keep up. Next is hyper-local insights. Our partners operate in very specific locations all over the world. So if you think about Milwaukee, Wisconsin, Peoria, Illinois, wherever it might be, what's going on locally in terms of the business environment, the operating environment, the nature of those clients, what's making the news? Those might be the types of things that we want to bring to their attention through a very enhanced business intelligence capability. Next, data-driven and prescriptive actions. Based on what we're seeing in the data, what would you have me do? That's the mindset that we like to take. Prescriptive actions could be contact this customer, offer this. They seem to be getting stuck in this part of an experience. Follow up with this type of documentation or this type of a call to action. Those would be examples of data-driven yet prescriptive actions that could be made very easy for our partners to work with their clients. Next would be expanded self-service and reporting and analysis capabilities. So we will always have a limited business intelligence team, as Ethan has shared with us before. How can we put more self-service capabilities into the hands of the business units themselves so they can be more self-sufficient? That's a much more efficient way of being able to get at the data insights that are needed where they're needed most. Next, higher levels of ease of use and higher levels of adoption for what we do build. Those are extremely important things for our partners who are out in the field, making sure that these are not technologists, these are not business intelligence experts. How do we make sure that it's tremendously easy for them to use the tools that we provide them and make sure that they're actually using them? And then finally, just in a phrase, Domo Delight. We don't know exactly what the future is going to hold. We know our appetite for answers is significant. We know our capabilities are growing, but we also know that the dynamics of the competitive environment and the nature of the business environment continue to change very rapidly, and we fully expect to keep pace. In closing up our workshop today, Ethan and I thought we would provide you some tips that might be helpful to you as you extend and continue your own journey. On the business side, some of my advice would start this way. Seek quick wins, but play the long game. By quick wins, I mean, what are the types of insights into data that's of great appetite for the business? We need that type of positive momentum to justify the investments into people and process and technology. But at the same time, we have to play the long game. We have to realize that we're not going to get to Domo Delight in a matter of weeks or months. This is a capability of the organization. There are technology implications as well. So seek those quick wins, but play the long game. Next, develop a data-first culture. The way that our people think and feel about data and bringing quantifiable defense to investment decisions, to get aligned, to have those quantifiable goals I shared a little bit earlier, that's all reminiscent and hallmarks of a data-first culture. We want to really make sure that we're running a fundamental, foundational business, and it all starts with very robust and accurate data and utilizing that data as we run the business. And finally, remain agile. Things will continue to change and evolve. Your capabilities will get better. You'll add new team members. It's always important to start small with something, what we call a minimum viable product. It's just as true with our Domo views as it is for our proprietary products, but remain agile and flexible. Find out what works. You may be surprised. You don't want to overinvest in a capability only to find out it missed the mark in some way. So using agile techniques is absolutely possible with our business intelligence, just like it is with our proprietary software products. And I think by remaining flexible, you'll have the best long-term outcome.
And from a BI perspective, an important step to think about while you're on your implementation journey is aligning your Domo strategy to your business strategy. Think about the culture of your organization. How do people like to consume data? How do people like to make decisions and incorporate data into that process? Align those two things and make sure they complement each other so you're not fighting an uphill battle the whole way. Second, prioritize adoption. Your data is only good if it's being consumed. You can have the most powerful visualizations, the greatest Domo cards that are powered by complex data flows and beast modes, but if they're not being adopted across your company, your influence, your impact, and the ROI on your investment in business intelligence isn't going to be there. Make sure you're prioritizing how you're getting your data and your insights adopted across the company. And finally, always keep scalability in mind. If we had thought about scalability from day one, we would be even further ahead on our journey to Domo Delight than we are today. Having scalable data architecture within your Domo environment is so critical. And even in the early days when you're creating your first cards and starting to connect source systems, if you can keep in the back of your mind where you want to be in 36 months and making sure you're not putting up blockers to get there, you'll make your road to Domo Delight much easier.
All right, thanks very much for those tips, Ethan. And thank you everyone for joining us today. My name is Matt Pepsel. Really appreciate your time and attention during today's workshop.
Thanks, Matt. I'd like to echo your sentiment. Thank you everyone for taking the time to tune in and listen. My name's Ethan Bain, and I wish you best of luck on your own journey to Domo Delight.